Welcome to Castified. Today we're diving deep into something, well, a bit strange happening at Microsoft.
Yeah, it is kind of weird when you first look at it.
Exactly. You've got this tech giant, super innovative, making tons of money, right? But then, bam, massive layoffs. And at the same time, they're pouring, unprecedented amounts of cash, billions into AI. How does that even work?
It seems like a total contradiction, doesn't it?
It really does. So our mission today is to try and cut through all the noise. We've got official reports, but also real user experiences. We want to figure out what this big strategic shift actually means.
Yeah, and not just for Microsoft, right?
No, for the whole tech industry and really for all of us.
And what's really key here, I think, is that this isn't happening in isolation. Microsoft's moves, they're like a window into these bigger forces that are reshaping, well, everything. The future of work, technology itself.
It's a big one.
It really reflects these broader trends we're seeing everywhere.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Forget the headlines for a second. Let's get to the numbers. Because the AI spending is flashy, but it's the job cuts that really highlight this paradox.
Yeah, the human side of it.
Right. The facts are pretty stark. Microsoft is planning to cut up to 9,000 jobs.
Wow, 9,000.
Yeah, that's around 4% of their whole global workforce, which is, 228,000 people?
Yeah.
And it's not the first time this year either.
No, didn't they cut like 6,000 back in May?
They did. So this is on top of that. And it's hitting different areas, including their Xbox gaming unit.
Oh, even gaming.
Yeah, and over 800 of these jobs are right there in Washington State, Redmond, and Bellevue, basically their home turf.
And connecting that to the other side of the coin, these job cuts are happening while they're making this absolutely huge, $80 billion investment in AI infrastructure.
$3 billion.
Yeah. We're talking data centers, basically the factories needed to train these huge AI models. And they signaled this big push last year. Remember, they brought in Mustafa Suleyman, the AI pioneer from the UK.
Ah, right, to head up their new Microsoft AI division.
Exactly. A very clear signal of intent.
But hang on, thousands of people losing jobs, billions flowing into AI. How is the market reacting? Are investors freaking out, or?
You'd think maybe they would be, but no. Quite the opposite, actually. Yeah, the company's financials look, well, pretty good. Microsoft stock. It's up 16% just this year so far.
16%?
And over the last 5 years, it's jumped 150%. So the market seems to see these moves, the layoffs included, as strategic, like necessary steps to position Microsoft for long-term success in this AI future.
So investors are okay with the cuts as long as it means betting big on AI?
It looks that way.
Right.
It suggests maybe a new way investors are thinking, where it's less about preserving current jobs and more about, capital efficiency and future bets. It's also worth remembering these are some of the biggest cuts since 2014 when they let go of nearly 18,000 people.
Wow, so there's a history of these big pivots.
Yeah, it shows a pattern of pretty significant restructuring when they decide to really go after something new.
But okay, this isn't just about cutting numbers, is it? It feels like they're fundamentally changing the types of jobs people do there.
Oh, absolutely.
We're hearing that traditional software engineering roles, coding jobs, they're being reshaped or reduced. Is that because of AI tools?
That's exactly it. These AI-powered coding assistants, like their own Copilot, are starting to automate tasks that developers used to do. So yeah, the internal workflows are changing fast to bring these AI tools in.
Okay, so coding is changing. What else?
Well, the other big area is sales. The job cuts have apparently fallen particularly hard on traditional sales roles.
Traditional sales, so what's replacing them?
They're being replaced by folks Microsoft calls technically skilled solutions engineers. Basically, people who can dive deep into the tech side of things with customers.
Huh. That's a huge shift for a sales team. Why? What's driving that? Is it what customers want?
That seems to be the main driver, yeah. Customers, especially enterprise ones, they want to talk tech much earlier. They prefer seeing actual demos, getting hands-on, rather than sitting through layers of sales pitches.
Less PowerPoint, more code.
Pretty much. Microsoft's sales boss, Judson Althoff, he's been quite clear. He wants to turn Microsoft into the frontier AI firm. He talks about continued agility and needing to completely reinvent Microsoft.
And that includes getting Copilot everywhere, right?
Exactly. His mission is basically Copilot on every device and across every role. So sales needs to be much more technical to support that vision. Direct technical engagement right from the start.
And I heard they're simplifying the sales structure too.
They are. They used to have 6 different solution areas, modern work, business apps, data and AI, Azure, security. all that stuff.
Right, kind of complicated.
Yeah, so they're cutting that down to just 3 streamlined categories: AI business solutions, cloud and AI platforms, and security.
Makes sense. Easier for customers to figure out, probably easier for the sales teams too, especially
Right.
the new technical ones.
That's the idea. Make it simpler to navigate the AI product portfolio. And they're hiring more field sellers, sending technical people out to the front lines. It's a really aggressive overhaul of sales.
And it fits into this bigger picture of balancing costs while betting on AI.
Totally. It's seen as critical for, well, survival in a fast-moving industry, as one source put it. It's a cost-balancing act and a strategic necessity rolled into one.
Okay, so we've got the corporate strategy, the market view, the job changes. But what does this AI push actually feel like for people using Microsoft stuff? Customers, developers, what's their experience?
If you listen to the top brass, like CEO Satya Nadella, the picture's pretty rosy. He claims that up to 30% of Microsoft's own code is now being written by AI bots.
30%. Wow, that sounds incredibly advanced, almost sci-fi.
It does. That's the promise, the high-level view.
Okay, but when we look at what actual users are saying, especially in places like, say, Reddit threads discussing this stuff, it sounds like there's a bit of a disconnect.
Oh, definitely. The reality check from the ground, yeah, it reveals a lot of frustration, especially with customer service.
But what? Chatbots.
Exactly. People complain constantly about useless chatbots getting stuck in loops with unhelpful online articles.
No.
We saw specific stories, users locked out of their accounts, literally unable to reach a human being for help.
That's infuriating.
Tell me about it. Chatbots that make you log in just to get help, even if the problem is that you can't log in. And community forums where maybe you get advice, but it's super generic.
Like the classic, have you tried turning it off and on again?
Precisely. There was this example people mentioned of a Steve community member who would apparently just suggest restarting the device and then mark the problem as resolved. It's not helpful when you've got a real issue.
Okay, so customer service can be rough. What about for developers using AI tools like Copilot? Is it really writing 30% of usable code, or is that figure maybe a bit optimistic?
Mixed bag seems to be the verdict from developers. They say AI is genuinely useful as an assistant. AI-assisted is the term they use.
For what kind of tasks?
Things like generating unit tests, writing boilerplate code like log statements, maybe getting a starter project going, stuff like that.
Okay, so it helps.
It helps. But AI-generated code, where the AI writes whole chunks on its own, that's often problematic. Developers report that AI hallucinates API functions, basically. Just makes up functions that don't exist.
Seriously, it just invents code.
Yeah, or gets the parameters wrong, or struggles with anything complex. It's not really producing production-ready code by itself, according to many devs. One user shared this specific, quite funny, actually, experience with Copilot.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to do a simple file renaming task. After like 45 minutes and 20 attempts, Copilot was still just mangling file names and throwing errors. Not exactly seamless.
45 minutes for file renaming. Yeah, that doesn't sound like 30% efficiency.
Not quite.
This really does raise an important question then. It feels like there's this huge gap, maybe even a chasm, opening up between the executive vision, the 30% code, the AI revolution, and the actual day-to-day reality for users and developers. What's causing that?
It's a great question. And that disconnect, it's really striking. It's not just, early days teething problems. It hints at something more, maybe a bit of AI watching, where the hype is just way ahead of the actual practical usefulness right now.
AI washing, like greenwashing, but for AI.
Kind of, yeah. And some tech folks are genuinely worried about tech debt building up from relying too much on AI too soon.
Tech debt, meaning...
Basically, writing code quickly with AI now that seems okay, but is maybe poorly structured or has hidden bugs, and it creates bigger, harder problems to fix later on, taking shortcuts now that cost you down the line.
Gotcha.
And, some users are even starting to use that term, enshittification.
Oh, right. That term's been floating around.
Yeah, applying it to what they see as a decline in the quality of Microsoft's products and services as this whole AI shift happens. The idea that platforms degrade over time as companies chase profit or efficiency above all else.
That's a pretty harsh critique.
It is, but it reflects real user frustration.
And obviously this whole situation, it isn't just about Microsoft, is it? We're seeing similar moves elsewhere.
Oh, absolutely. If you zoom out, the entire tech sector is basically doing the same thing, accelerating towards AI. You look at Meta, Google, Amazon, they're all making huge investments restructuring jobs around AI.
AI arms race.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And the competition for talent is fierce. Meta was reportedly offering signing bonuses over $100 million for top AI people.
100 million just to sign on.
That's the report. Shows how critical they think this is.
Which brings us back to the jobs issue. The flip side of hiring AI experts is the anxiety about job displacement. All right.
Exactly. That's a huge undercurrent in these discussions online. People are worried, especially about white-collar roles, that AI is coming for their jobs.
Yeah.
And it leads to these bigger societal questions.
Yeah.
What happens if automation means a big chunk of the population just doesn't have the purchasing power anymore? What does that do to the economy? It's a fundamental worry about the future of work.
And we also have to touch on some of the more sensitive and maybe uncomfortable things that come up when people discuss these big shifts online.
Yeah, we do. And just to be really clear here, we're reporting neutrally on comments found in public discussions, like on Reddit. We're not endorsing these views at all.
Understood.
But some quite controversial and, frankly, racially charged comments emerged. Things like theories about AI, aka actual Indians, replacing workers.
Right, I saw mentions of that.
And discussions trying to link the layoffs somehow to the Indian government's historical role in promoting IT careers. Again, these are just viewpoints expressed out there, not our analysis.
Got it. Important context to include, but yeah, needs careful handling. Are there other, maybe less obvious consequences people are worried about with this huge AI push?
Well, another big one that comes up is the environmental impact.
The data centers.
Exactly. The argument is pretty simple. More AI means more data centers. More data centers mean more energy and water use, which means planetary destruction. It's a critique of this relentless growth at all costs mentality in tech, arguing it ignores the environmental price tag.
So if we try and pull all these threads together, the huge investments, the layoffs, the sometimes clunky user experience, the industry race, the job fears, the environmental concerns, what's really driving these massive decisions at the top, especially if the tech isn't always perfectly smooth yet?
Well, from some viewpoints you see expressed, it boils down to familiar pressures. Relentless shareholder demands for basically infinite growth.
Always more profit.
Right. Intense pressure to cut costs wherever possible, and a focus on maximizing profits, potentially benefiting executives, even if it means product quality suffers a bit or job security becomes, less certain for many. It's that powerful economic engine driving things forward.
So after digging into all of this, what does it ultimately mean for you, the listener, trying to make sense of this fast-changing tech world?
I think this deep dive into what Microsoft is doing, it really shows this incredibly powerful pivot happening across the whole industry towards AI. It's huge investments, yes, but also a really profound reshaping of the workforce.
Yeah.
And this shift, it definitely brings promises, efficiency, new capabilities, but also some really significant challenges. We've seen the customer service frustrations, the developer issues, and these fundamental questions about what work even looks like in the future. It's dynamic, it's complex, and there really aren't any easy answers right now.
And maybe here's a final thought to leave you with. In this global race, everyone rushing to bake AI into absolutely everything. If these companies do succeed in making many human roles obsolete purely for efficiency's sake, could they accidentally create a future where the very people who buy their products, their customers, can no longer afford to participate in the economy they've built? And if that happens, what does progress even mean anymore?